Hello, everyone. Welcome to Millennium News 24/7 with your daily sports news update. I am with you, Nathan Cheat, with now details this time, December 12th, 2022. On to our first story. France's players reacted as if they had already won the World Cup. What they were actually celebrating, though, was Harry Kane's missed penalty. The match wasn't over yet, but France was leading 2-1 when Kane, England's captain and its best player, stepped up to take a penalty that would even the score in the 84th minute of Saturday's match at Al Bayt Stadium. He sent his shot high over the bar, and defending champion France held on to the 2-1 for a spot in the semifinals. A 2-1 win. They won. That's football, English coach Gareth Southgate said. There is nobody I would have in that situation, and if we had won tomorrow, I'd feel exactly the same way. France is looking to become the first country to successfully defend its World Cup title since Brazil, led by Pelé, won back-to-back tournaments in 1958 and 1962. Italy also won 2 World Cups in succession in 1934 and 1938. France will next face Morocco on Wednesday for a spot in the finals. We are going to the semifinals. We are closer to the final, and this was an important achievement tonight, and we can believe, but we have an important game on Wednesday, France coach Didier Deschamps said. In the past, the world champions didn't always do well in the next World Cup, and we've managed to do that. It's been exciting games, these World Cup, this time around. Now to the next story. Africa. They finally have a team in the World Cup semifinals, and so does the Arab world. Morocco delivered a seminal moment in the nearly 100-year history of soccer's biggest tournament, beating Cristiano Ronaldo and his Portugal team 1-0 Saturday in another shocking result in the first World Cup staged in the Middle East. While a tearful Ronaldo headed right down the tunnel and maybe into international retirement after the final whistle, Morocco's players tossed their coach in the air and waved their country's flag as they linked arms in front of celebrating fans. "Pinch me, I'm dreaming," Morocco goalkeeper Yassine Banal said. Morocco is ready to face anyone in the world. We have changed the mentality of the generation coming after us. They'll know Moroccan players can create miracles. Youssef En Nesri scored the winning goal in the 42nd minute to continue an improbable run that has generated an outpouring of pride in the Arab world, inspiring displays in Arab identity from fans in different countries. Africa is also rejoicing at finally having a nation advancing to the levels typically only reached by European or South American teams. Cameroon in 1990, Senegal in 2002, and Ghana in 2010 all reached the quarterfinals but got no further. Let's see how these games go. Now on to the next story. Caleb Williams brought sizzle, excitement, and star power back to Southern California football. And now the Heisman Trophy too. Williams, the dynamic quarterback who was the catalyst for the Trojans' turnaround season, won the Heisman on Saturday night to make USC the first school to take home college football's most prestigious Player of the Year award 8 times. Williams received 544 first place votes and 2,031 points to easily outpoint TCU quarterback Max Duggan, who has 1,420 points. Williams, who played last season at Oklahoma, is the 4th transfer to win the Heisman in the last 6 years, joining Baker Mayfield in 2017 and Kyler Murray in 2018 of Oklahoma and Joe Burrow in 2019 of LSU. Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud was 3rd in voting after coming in 4th last season. Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett, the first Bulldogs player to attend the awards presentation in 30 years, finished 4th. The top-ranked Bulldogs will face Stroud and the 4th-ranked Buckeyes in the college football playoff on December 31st. Let's see how that game goes. Now on to the next story. Japanese pitcher Kodai Senga and the New York Mets have agreed to a $75 million 5-year contract, according to a person familiar with the negotiations. The person spoke to the Associated Press early Sunday on condition of anonymity because the deal is pending a physical. It is the latest big move for free spending owner Steve Cohen and the busy Mets during a dizzying week. Senga figures to slot into the middle of a revamped rotation headed by 3-time Cy Young Award winners Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. Hours earlier, the Mets completed a $162 million 8-year contract Saturday to bring back free agent center fielder Brandon Nimmo. New York also finalized deals with free agent pitchers Verlander, Jose Quintana, and David Robertson in the past few days, after re-signing All-Star closer Edwin Diaz to a $102 million 5-year deal last month. Within the last week, the Mets have committed $359.7 million to 5 free agents, including Senga. Throw in Diaz, who re-signed before other teams were permitted to negotiate with him, and it's $461.7 million to 6 free agents this offseason, with 5 pitchers. Let's see how this goes. Now on to the next story. Navy running back Anton Hall Jr. collapsed to the ground and buried his face in his hands. West Point cadets spilled from the stands onto the field and joined Army players who ripped off their helmets and ran around in celebration. Hawes is pushed toward the end zone in the second overtime and first OT game in Army-Navy history resulted in a fumble that Army recovered. The Black Knights went from potentially playing for a tie to simply playing for a winning score. Somehow, the ball got loose and we hit that thing when we needed to, Army coach Jeff Monken said. Quinn Maretsky kicked the game-winning 39-yard field goal, after he had sent the game into overtime with a 37-yarder late in the fourth quarter and led the Army past the midshipmen 20-17 on Saturday night in the first OT game in the 123 matchups of America's game. It's obviously a big moment, but I tried my best to put that aside, Maretsky said. Just being able to block everything out, my teammates just made that job so easy for me. So I just had to go out there and not even really think. They made it really great for him. Exciting game. And now, a short break from the daily sports English news of Millennium News 24/7. Stay tuned.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome back to Millennium News 24/7 with your daily sports news update. I am with you, Nathan Cheatwood, live from South Bronx, the heart of New York City, on December 11th, 2022. Let's go to the next story. The light heavyweight title remained vacant Saturday night after judge awarded the main event in the UFC 282 a draw, so controversial that both fighters, Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev, agreed Ankalaev should have won the belt. During the post-fight interview in the octagon, number 3, Blachowicz, who is 29-9 and 1 draw, walked over to 4th-ranked Ankalaev, who is 18-1 with 1 draw, and told him he deserved the belt. Ankalaev was so upset over the decision, he said through a Russian interpreter he didn't know if he would fight in his organization again. His words: "I won that fight," Ankalaev said. "I won the belt. Where's my belt?" Judge Mike Bell scored the fight 48-47 for Blachowicz. Derek Cleary scored it 48-46 for Ankalaev, and Sal D'Amato scored it 47-47. Blachowicz seemed embarrassed by the decision. "Maybe we can have a rematch," Blachowicz said, somewhat sheepishly. "I don't choose the judges." The co-main event also went to the scorecards, and there was far from widespread agreement among the fans about the results of that fight as well. It was an amazing match. Now on to the next story. Olympic champion Petra Vlhova led after opening the run of a World Cup slalom on Sunday as she searched for her first win of the season. The Slovakian skier posted a time of 58.51 seconds in sestierity to take advantage of 0.24 over Switzerland's Wendy Holdener, who ended her lengthy wait for a slalom victory last month in Killington, Vermont. Michaela Schifrin of the United States was third, 0.33 seconds slower than Vlhova. 2 other skiers were within a second of Vlhova, Lena Durr and Anna Swen Larsen, who also won in Killington in a joint first-place finish. The 27-year-old Vlhova won the slalom title last season, as well as Olympic gold, but finished second in the overall standings to Schifrin. Vlhova won the overall title the previous year. Schifrin leads the overall standings after winning the 2 season opening slalom races. Viola finished third in both. Neither finished on the podium in the slalom in the Giant Stadium in Killington, and both opted out of the speed races in Lake Louise in Canada last weekend. Viola finished third in Saturday's GS to trim Swiffin's lead in the overall standings to 25 points. More exciting sports in the Olympics going on. Now on to the next story. Unbeaten world champion Terence Crawford knocked out David Avenesian in the 6th round Saturday night to retain his WBO welterweight belt. Crawford, fighting for the first time in more than a year, had the 6th-ranked challenger wobbling with a flurry of blows before landing a right cross to the chin that put Avenesian to the canvas 2 minutes, 14 seconds into the round. I was touching him to the body, and I was seeing that had an effect, Crawford said. He had a high guard, and I picked up the pace. There were punches and bunches. I saw an opening and took it, and the rest is history. Crawford was fighting in his hometown for the 6th time as a professional and first time since 2018. And cheers of Crawford, Crawford started before the introductions. The pay-per-view bout was made after negotiations for an undisputed welterweight championship fight between Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. broke down back in October. Crawford didn't call out Spence directly, saying he would consider anyone who wants to fight, preferably in the spring. We don't know what is next, Crawford said. We've got to go back to the drawing board and be ready for whoever. Be ready for whoever. Brian McIntyre, Crawford's trainer, said his fighter would be open to moving up from 147 pounds to 154. Let's see how that goes. Now on to the next story. First, Brooklyn Nets coach Jack Vaughn had to convince all-star forward Kevin Durant, KD, to stay home Saturday night. Then he tried to explain why the Nets opted to rest their top 7 scorers against Indiana, against the Pacers. In the end, it didn't matter as they rallied to beat the Pacers 136 to 133. But for Vaughn, it came down to a simple calculation. With 2 games in 2 nights, most of those players fighting through injuries, and only 1 game between Sunday and Friday, Vaughn felt it was the best thing to do for his players and the franchise. He thought it was the best thing. When you have 2 or 3 guys, rotational guys out, it puts a strain and a stress on 2 or 3 more guys, and then we're really not in a position of taking care of the team in total, he said. We think, how does it affect everyone else? So we can get to a place where next week we're looking at ourselves in the mirror with pretty good health, mentally and physically. As it turned out, Cam Thomas, Patty Mills, and others took advantage of their chance. Thomas scored a career-high 33 points on 13 of 20 shootings, while Mills added 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists, looking like he turned back the clock to his San Antonio days. It looked like he's turning back the clock. Rewind. Now on to the next story. As soon as Hansel Emmanuel began to weave from the right wing, his Northwestern State teammates started to stand up. When he dribbled between 2 defenders for a stylish layup, mostly everyone in the gym joined them. The freshman with 1 arm was finally on board. And a minute later, on Saturday night, the 6'6" guard provided the most defining moment of the game with a thunderous dunk in the 91-73 win over Louisiana Monroe. I had to keep going after the layup. That was my first bucket, Emmanuel said in a quote posted on the Southland Conference School's website. I know my family was proud. I had to keep working. You can't give up. The 19-year-old Emmanuel, who lost his left arm just below his shoulder in a childhood accident, wound up scoring 5 points. He was 2 of 3 from the field and 1 of 5 from the foul line, along with 2 rebounds in 8 minutes. Emmanuel had played in 4 previous games for the Demons this season, shooting 0 for 2 with 1 rebound. He was born in the Dominican Republic in DR. Emmanuel was 6 when a pile of cinder blocks fell on him. The damage was so severe, doctors had to amputate his arm. Emmanuel later moved to Florida and became a big scorer in high school. He drew interest from Memphis, among other colleges, and became an internet sensation last year for his highlight videos posted on social media. Now, this was in the Daily Sports News Update of Millennium News 24/7. Log in to get your latest news on all our social networking sites: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok is Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel is News Channel M24. And viewers now on both networks broadcasting Android and iOS devices, on Apple TV, on Roku TV, on your Amazon Fire TV, also all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy all of our entertainment and latest news and views on Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA on Android, and Millennium News on Google. Also find us at www.millenniumtv24.com. Stay with Millennium 2 News 24. Thank you. I am Nathan Cheatwood. Now on.